In this video, I am going to show you a simple trick that will double your harvest of all of your edible crops, and at the same time, it will halve the trouble you have with pests and diseases. I'm going to teach you the right way to do crop rotation and succession sowing. These are really ancient techniques, but they have been honed and refined. So now if you use them properly, you can significantly reduce your pest and disease issues while really boosting your harvest. So how does it work? Crop rotation is all about not planting the same crop in the soil year after year after year. So ideally you want to have a gap of 3 or 4 years before you plant that crop in the soil again, and that stops pests and diseases from building up. But the type of crop that you plant in the meanwhile is really important, and that is what I'm going to show you. That is the secret to success in all this. The flip side of it is you don't want a lot of bare ground in your garden, in your allotment, at home, wherever you're growing. As soon as you harvest something, you want to plant something new in that soil so you get the biggest possible harvest. So by the time you finish watching this video, you will properly understand crop rotation and succession sowing. They are really easy once you understand the basics, and I'm going to teach you all of them. So let's go and see some crops. The important thing here is understanding that different crops fall into different categories, and those categories are your potatoes and tomatoes, your onions and your root crops like carrots, legumes, which is your peas and beans, and brassicas, which is all of your cabbages and broccoli and kale, all of the things in that cabbage family. Now, each of these crops adds different things to the soil, takes different things out of the soil, and has their own specific pests and diseases. So if you're planting carrots in the same ground year after year after year, you're going to end up with really bad carrot problems. If you're planting onions in the same ground year after year, you're going to end up with really bad onion diseases. So it's all about moving your crops from one part of the garden or one part of the allotment to another, and not putting them back in the same ground for 3 or 4 years. Now, this trick dates back to medieval times, but it's been sort of half forgotten by gardeners, and it is crop rotation and succession sowing. So I am here harvesting my lovely potatoes. Once I've got those lifted, it is time to plant something new here. But what you plant is going to make all the difference to not only the harvest that you get, but also the trouble that you might have with pests and diseases. If I was to plant another potato plant or another tomato plant in this same soil, it would be much more likely to be attacked by different pests, diseases, fungus. So it's really important that when you are planning what to plant next, you plant the right thing. And after you have harvested your potatoes, you can either plant a neutral plant. So this is things like sweetcorn, courgettes, pumpkins, any of your summer or winter squash, and all of your salad greens. So things like lettuces, spinach, cut and come again salads, all of those really don't contribute any specific bacteria or fungus or anything to the soil. So you can plant them anytime after any crop. Potatoes are the same family as tomatoes, so if you plant potatoes or tomatoes in this soil, you are going to get so many more pests and disease troubles than if you plant a different crop and the right crop. Potatoes are really hungry feeders. They like lots of richness in the soil, and they eat all of that richness up. So the right thing to plant after them is a crop that doesn't need as much nutrients in the soil and likes lovely, light, friable soil, just like you get after you've dug up your potatoes. Carrots are perfect. If you prefer, you could plant beetroots or parsnips, spring onions. So as long as you remember to plant the right crop after your potatoes, you are going to be in for a bumper second harvest, and you're going to be protecting your soil so that in a couple years' time, when you want to plant potatoes in here again, they are going to be beautiful and healthy and disease-free, just like these ones. Oh, this one's massive. Look at the size of that. It is the same for all of the different crops that you harvest. Each type of crop has another crop that ideally should be grown after it. So after you have harvested your onions, you can of course sow more onions in the same growing season. Spring onions grow really quickly, or you could plant autumn onions for harvest next year. You could plant any of your root vegetables like carrots or beetroot or parsnips if it's the right time of year for you to do that. Carrots and onions love the same soil, and they actually grow really well side by side. Or you could plant any of your crops which are neutral. So these are things like your salad vegetables, courgettes, pumpkins, winter squash, summer squash, sweet corn, and all of your flowers, both your edible flowers and your ornamental flowers. These all are quite neutral in what they take out of the soil and what they leave in the soil, and they don't have specific diseases and pests that linger in the soil. Things like your onions are susceptible to different fungi and bacteria, which if you plant onions in the same soil year after year after year, are going to live in that soil, and every new onion you plant is going to get infected. But if after you've planted your onions, next year you plant peas or beans in this soil, those peas and beans are not susceptible to the problems that your onions have, so they are going to grow much better for you. You will get a much better, healthier crop, and you can plant your onions somewhere else. After you have harvested your peas or your beans, the ideal thing to plant immediately after them is more peas or beans. Peas are fantastic because you can plant them from autumn last year, overwinter them, and then you get a lovely early crop this year. So once you take these early peas out, it's just about time to plant your beans. So there are different types of beans. There are French beans or string beans. These are the ones that really don't like any frost at all. So they're a great option for planting after you've harvested all of your peas, because by then hopefully we're past all of the frosts. If you're somewhere where it stays a little bit cooler, you can look at growing runner beans. These are lovely flat podded beans that are a little bit hardier, or even broad beans, which will put up with frost and even snow over the winter. So after you have harvested your peas or beans, if it's the same growing season, plant more peas or beans. If it is the end of the growing season, the ideal crop to plant after these are brassicas. So anything in the cabbage family. All of your peas and beans add nitrogen into the soil. The plant itself can suck nitrogen out of the air and put it back into the soil. So any plant that loves nitrogen, any leafy plant, is going to love growing in the soil that your beans or peas have been growing in the previous season. All of your cabbages, kale, broccoli, everything in the cabbage family is lumped together in a category called brassicas. So after you have finished harvesting any of your brassicas, the ideal thing, if there's still time in the growing season, is to plant more brassicas. There are different brassicas for almost any time of year. If it is spring or early summer, there's still cabbages and kale that you can be planting. Later on in the season, as the weather starts to get a little bit cooler, lots of the Asian vegetables come to the fore. So bok choy, pak choy, mizuna, mibuna, even the Asian radishes like mooli and daikon. And that is an important point. Radishes and turnips and swedes are all members of the brassica family. So when you're doing your crop rotation, remember that they are all lumped in together. So after you have harvested your kale, you could plant yourself some lovely radishes in the same soil, and next year, next growing season, you want to plant potatoes where you had your brassicas. So when you plant your brassicas, you're going to add loads of manure and lovely organic matter into the soil, and potatoes love that. So the perfect crop to plant after your brassicas next growing season is potatoes, and if you've got time for more crops this growing season, more brassicas or any of those neutral crops like your lovely salad vegetables. Remember that your flowers are outside of your crop rotation, so you can plant gorgeous flowers at any time with any of your harvests, and in fact you can even plant them alongside them. So why not grow some of your own gorgeous flowers, cut your carbon footprint, save some money, and enjoy fabulous blooms like this. So there you have it. Those are the basics of succession sowing and crop rotation. Succession sowing, keep those harvests coming. As soon as you harvest one crop and take it up, get something else planted. And crop rotation, making sure you know the right thing to plant. So it's really simple. Just remember those categories. After you have harvested your potatoes, when the soil's lovely and loose, it's the perfect time to plant those root crops, the carrots, the onions, the beetroots, your parsnips, or any of those neutral crops, salad vegetables, courgettes, sweet corn, or any sort of flower. After your root crops and your onions, that is the perfect time to plant legumes, your peas and your beans. Now at this time you're going to add a little bit more fertilizer into the soil, give it that lovely rich organic matter that all of your peas and beans love so much. So you're going to grow peas and beans right through that growing season, and then the next growing season you are going to plant your brassicas, your cabbages, broccoli, kale, anything in that cabbage family, Brussels sprouts, all of your lovely Asian vegetables, you name it, you're going to be planting all of those. And then the next year that same bit of ground is right back to potatoes again. And if you follow that 4-year cycle, all of the pests and diseases that might have been present when you grew those potatoes before, they're all long gone. So when you're planting your potatoes out, you've got lovely, fresh, clean soil to plant it in. Having that rotation, keeping the crops going in the right order like that will really, really reduce the amount of pests and diseases that are in the soil. It is going to give you so much better harvests, so many fewer problems, and isn't that what all of us want in the garden? So whatever you choose to grow, remember your crop rotation cycle. Remember that you can plant any of your salad vegetables, your flowers, sweet corn, courgettes, any of those, anywhere, anytime that you like. Just be careful with those other groups, and before you know it, you will be bringing in fabulous harvests. Let me know what you're growing in the comments. I am going to be posting a new video soon, so if you haven't already, please do like and subscribe. And until then, happy gardening.